I don't know about you, but I only trust the best. So if you're looking at getting your roof checked out, redone, these are the guys that can help you. Belter Roofing and Construction, they are the best. They'll come out, do a free inspection. You can trust them with your roof. Call them, Belter Roofing and Construction. 405-952-7777. That's Belter Roofing and Construction.
This is the Jake for the State podcast, and this is the call for every red-blooded, God-fearing, liberty-loving patriot to prepare yourself, take your position, stand your ground, and advance the cause of freedom. Let's go.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Jake for the State podcast. We are continuing the theme of candidates as we near primaries on June 18th. So be sure to mark that on your calendar if you haven't already. It's coming up quick. And as we get ready for that, we're talking to primarily Republicans getting ready for this primary election. And today I have with me Matt Huggans running for House District 42 here in Oklahoma. Welcome, Master Matt.
How are you, Jake?
Wonderful, man.
You look good in pink.
You got to be a man to wear pink, right? So
yeah, you're secure in your manhood.
Secure, I know.
Yes, sir.
Either secure or foolish. I don't know, but I enjoy a little pink. I'm a girl dad, so I got two girls. I'm all about the balls, the princesses, daddy-daughter dances.
Whatever it takes, you bet.
Heck yeah.
There are princesses, that's for sure.
I haven't taken them on a hunting trip yet, but we will do that as well.
There you go. Blow some stuff up, too.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, House District 42, where is that located, Matt?
It's pretty good size. It encompasses 3 counties, a little bit of Cleveland County and Lexington, Purcell, which is McLean County, Pauls Valley, Lindsay, Wynnewood, and all the way east to Stratford.
Okay, so pretty big district out there. Covers a lot of ground.
A lot of rural.
Right,
Yes,
right.
sir.
How does that impact your campaign, your strategy?
Well, it takes a long time to get to all the doors because it's not compact.
Yeah.
A lot of my population is out in the rural area, and it just takes a lot of time to get there. It's not that I don't want to reach everybody. It's just like sometimes on my list, I'll go like a mile over here and then 5 miles back over here. And
Right.
then if I don't calculate where exactly I'm going to go, it's definitely worth it, though.
It's always been my favorite part of the whole process is meeting people at the doorstep. I know sometimes it can be people at the door, they can be bothered or they don't want to talk or whatever. But when I have a chance to engage in conversation, I was glad to take my wife with me because she pulled me away because I would gladly spend 30 minutes at a doorstep. Gotta get
And
sucked
you
into
can't do that.
No, not if you're trying to reach everyone. But what are you hearing at the doorstep? What are you hearing from people in District 42? What's their concerns?
Well, when you ask them that question, you have anything that you'd like to converse with me about or whatever, there's a lot of concerns, but there's a couple in particular that are really, really important to the people. The first I would say is that everybody financially is struggling because of the economy.
Yeah.
And the people just feel like they're so overtaxed on everything. And then, of course, our legislators, vote in another track and tax bill, which even makes it even worse. It's like they don't understand why it's getting where we just keep getting taxed more and more and more and more all the time. So that was the biggest thing. And the second thing was that they are very concerned about illegals and all the chaos coming across the border and how we can get rid of all those problems. They're really upset because of the government giving free money to these people, and it's just not right.
Yeah, we saw in the legislature this year that they did pass they repealed the grocery tax, the state portion of the grocery tax, but that was as far as they were willing to go, especially the Senate. It looked like the House and the governor both wanted more, but the Senate dragged their feet and said that's as far as they're going to go this year. But the people, I believe, that is correct, that's where what I'm hearing from people as well is they would like some financial relief. Definitely not getting it from the White House these days. So what can we do here in Oklahoma to help relieve that tax burden? What would you like to see? I mean, a complete repeal of the state income tax and property tax, or a partial? What would be an ideal situation for you and for the state?
Here's one of the things that when you go into detail about what you want to get rid of as far as tax, they say, well, how are we going to pay for this or how are we going to pay for that? First thing I think that legislatures should really understand first is you cut budgets. You cut things that we don't need, and there's a lot of them that we really don't need. I know that they think that their whole job in government is to control everybody, but it's not.
Right.
We're a representative republic, and I don't like that kind of infringement. But when we do such a thing, we need to cut budgets. We need to cut things that we really don't need, and then out of that, we start eliminating the taxes. Like something that's very intrusive upon your civil liberty is your income tax, because basically, they know everything about you, and I don't like that. I don't think it's none of their business who I am unless I want to tell them. And the second is the same thing. It's property tax. You never really own your property, because what happens if you don't pay your tax? They come and confiscate your land, sell it, and then you're out of luck. I don't like this whole taking away of our civil liberty like that. I really don't, Jake.
Well, I don't think you're alone either.
Yeah, and I have told a lot of people that one of the things in my GOP platform is the fact that we're wanting to eliminate property tax. Well, how are we going to pay for this and that? And I'm like, we're just going to have to figure it out. But that's intrusive.
Yeah, exactly.
Period.
I mean, I think you correct the problem, and then you figure out how to make it work.
Yes.
That's definitely not the way it's being done now. I mean, They want to know how to protect the agencies and the departments first, which essentially is telling me that you grew government to a certain size and you want to at least keep it there. There's no intent to diminish or reduce the size of government.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head. You just said, that they create these bureaucracies that they have to protect. No, we don't. We don't have to protect these things that are invasive upon my constitutional right. The Declaration says this: we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. That means we don't get these from men, we get them from God. That's right. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Liberty. That's my freedom to choose what is right, not what I want to do, but what is right for everybody. I don't have a right when people tell me we don't want these taxes anymore to say, well, that's just tough luck. We're going to take your money anyway. That's not what the people want. We're supposed to be a representative republic, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
So instead of people just doing whatever they want in government like we see today, obey the Constitution that you took an oath for. That's what we're supposed to do, Jake.
You mentioned illegals, and I agree. I think it's on everybody's mind right now, the southern border, the failure of the Biden administration to do anything about it. Now the states closest to the border especially, I think, are thinking about what we can do. We saw Texas make a move to push back against the federal government. Now Oklahoma this year, Governor Stitt signed into law the, what is it called? The occupational... I'm drawing a blank on the name of the crime it created, this law created, but it would first be a misdemeanor, and then it would be upgraded to a felony if they were caught again. I'll think about it here in a second. That word is not coming to me. But at least we saw Oklahoma do something to address the issue of illegal aliens in the state. Were you happy with that piece of legislation? Do you think that it didn't go far enough, went too far? I mean, what were you thinking when you saw that go through the legislature this year?
I'd like to clarify something first. When you say illegal, it's not specific to a certain ethnic race,
right?
Because it just has to do with people that are here unlawfully according to what? The law. Has nothing to do with anything else except breaking the law. Hence the word illegal. When you're an illegal, you're not supposed to be here. You don't have any rights.
You're breaking the law right from the outset.
Yeah. So to me, when these people are found to be here illegally, send them home. I don't have a problem with people. I'm a Christian man. I love people. But the law is the law, and there's certain things that are being done that everybody's upset about because they feel the same way as me, even according to their Christian value. Yeah. Do we help people? Absolutely. But if they're illegal, they go back home. They're not allowed here unless they do it the legal way. I know people who have done it the legal way, and it's cost them dearly over the years to finally get over the top and become U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
That's the way you do it. Just do it the right way.
Impermissible occupation. That's the word I couldn't think of a second ago. But this law made impermissible occupation a crime, and this would allow law enforcement officials to arrest illegal immigrants. So, which previously, I guess they couldn't do, but now they have the authority to go and arrest them. And my question about this particular bill is they're already breaking the law. Now that we create another law that they break, do you think they're going to care? I mean, do you think they're going to just pack up their things and leave because we've informed them they've broken the law? Well, they know they're breaking the law already. That's the whole problem. So I don't think that this particular bill has the teeth in it. One of the things you mentioned was the subsidizing the people who are here. What do you mean by that? How are we as a state subsidizing illegal immigration?
Well, let's go to Scripture first. You don't work,
you
don't eat.
Right?
There's no such thing as free. And I was on your show earlier today, and I talked about my dad. My dad was a double amputee from the time that he was 11 or 12 years old. My dad never took anything for free. He worked his whole life, became successful enough to where my mom's taken care of while he's not even here now. Okay, but I don't have much there's no such thing as free. You don't do that in society. I'm not a proponent of welfare or any giveaway programs. Social Security and Medicare are different because you pay into it. That's something that you pay for. That's a different issue. But all these government subsidies and giveaways and all that, if you can't, for instance, subsidies to businesses or anything, whatever it is, that's an infringement upon our rights, because if you can't make it in business, you shouldn't be in business.
You're a business owner.
I'm a business owner, so I understand it. If I can't do it correctly, I shouldn't ask the government to come bail me out.
Right.
Where did they get that money? They got it from other business people and other people making money. It's just an infringement upon those who work.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It just you're like slapping us in the face that work, and you're buying or catering to those who don't want to work. It's not right. Ethically, it's not right.
Yeah. Tell me more about your dad. How did lost his legs?
Yeah. My dad he used to deliver newspaper when he was a kid, because, they didn't have welfare back in those days. So everybody in the family worked and took care of the family. So my dad had from what I was told, he had a paper route. He was from the Bay Area and San Francisco area. And that one day one of his routes was he had to cross the railroad tracks. It was a big, busy station there in San Francisco. And one day he just didn't hear this train coming behind him because of all the other noise, and it ran him over. My dad got run over by a train. My dad was dead, and he had gotten caught up underneath, the axles or whatever, but it kept him where he didn't get totally annihilated. But he was dead. And somebody from World War II who was into the medical field happened to be there when they stopped the train and resuscitated my dad, brought him back to life, and then the rest is history. My dad, they told him he'd never walk, but my dad wound up walking, and he had wooden legs that he walked on all the time. And my dad was the kind of person he didn't want nothing free. He wanted to earn it. I'm trying not to get emotional right now.
Man, that mentality, that's a different mentality, compared to, I'm thinking about our culture today, where you have this entitlement mentality, the youth that we have. But, when you grow up like that, and you gotta work for everything.
He's my example.
Wow.
And I saw that. He had a steel plate in his head, and every once in a while he would get convulsions. He took medicine to get, but I saw him my whole life work. And I had a lot of admiration. That's why I work. I'm a hard worker too.
Yeah.
I was just brought up that way. And I see people nowadays that have everything bodily going for them and just want to whine and cry. And they're on welfare. And then there's generational welfare where it goes from one kid to the other. And it just, I wouldn't say it infuriates me, but I just think it's so invasive upon us who work. It's not morally right. It's just, it's not good at all. I just hate it. I hate welfare.
Yeah. When you look at the youth today, you have young men that work for you.
Yes.
And of course, I'm sure you have standards that if they don't meet those standards, they don't work for you anymore.
Pretty much, yeah.
I would assume
if you
just
don't
from-
show up on time and work all day, you don't get to stay.
Right.
So,
What do you think about this push for minimum wage increase here in Oklahoma?
well, it goes back to business period. You're going to increase that, so guess what else is going to increase?
The cost.
Cost.
The end cost.
My cost for an employee. So what a lot of people don't realize as an employer is that I pay a whole lot more than what I just pay them per hour. I pay other benefits. I have workman's compensation. I pay part of their Social Security and Medicaid. I pay for all of those issues. I pay for unemployment compensation, which doesn't even benefit me, but I pay unemployment. So in other words, that's another issue, but
Right.
the cost is great just to be in business. And a lot of people have told me, "Oh, you guys make all the money. You're doing real good." I'm like, "Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea what it's like to run a company and how difficult it is to make sure, hoping that you have a competitive bid on a project, and you're hoping at the end of the job that you make some money, and then you're hoping that all your people that you worked for, the contractors, pay you."
Right.
you know,
carry the risk.
Yeah, it's all of the above on
Yeah,
that.
exactly. And I think that the ignorance is eating us up and is perpetuating a lot of these lies that are resulting in, unfortunately, bad policy. And we have to have informed and experienced people in office that understand these things. That's why you have somebody like Biden, who's never worked a day in his life except for, I don't know, did he sell ice cream one time? I don't know. But
he eats a lot of it. That's all I know.
I don't know what he was doing when he was raised in the hood or in in Puerto Rico or wherever he was doing it. He grew up.
Yeah.
But actual experience owning a business. And when you come with that kind of experience, you understand taxation. You understand welfare. You understand minimum wage, the implications of raising the minimum wage. And
the invasiveness of government in all these issues.
That's it. Yeah. And the reason for small government and the reason for liberty and the things that the founding fathers set in place in the very beginning.
All we want to do is leave us alone.
Right.
Let us prosper. Let us grow this country.
You have it highlighted here on your mailer as I'm looking. You say truth over trickery. What do you mean by that?
When people say they're a Republican, they should vote like it. And when they don't vote like it, there's something wrong. There's something wrong with the whole structure of you saying that you're a Republican when you don't vote that way. Something's wrong. That's what the tricks are. It might not even be on purpose, but it is a trick. It's a trick of the enemy to get people to continue the same old in government.
You're running against an incumbent, and on your mailer you highlight Senate Bill 574. She was a House co-sponsor of this bill. And it was, tell us more about this. It was about the fight for medical privacy.
It's cost taxpayers in this state $50 million just to implement the program.
And what is the program?
And the program is to put all medical records, everybody's personal medical records, on a Oklahoma database.
So speaking of intrusion.
Exactly. That's my whole point that's why I was against it, is because it takes away. I'm not ashamed of my information of who I am, but I just don't want the government to use it against me. And that's what they do. You give them an inch like that and you let them have your personal records, and all of a sudden, for instance, psychological evaluations where, let's just say you're depressed someday and you go have some counseling, and then they have to take records of that.
Yeah.
Right? So all of a sudden they have all your records, and somebody taps in there and sees that you went to a counselor, and here's a little report on you or whatever. Oh, it'll never happen, they say, but it can.
Yeah.
And it does happen in other states. And then all of a sudden they go into these records and they find this little thing about you, and all of a sudden you have the government knocking at your door because you had a little depression and they're hoping that you didn't get a gun and do something. You see, it can go that way, and it has in the past.
Yeah.
It's just an intrusion thing. I don't want them to know. If I want somebody to know, I'll tell them.
Yeah. I mean, same kind of issue with the flock cameras, right? And law enforcement says it helps them do their job better, helps catch criminals. But the issue is, you're tracking me. And
in everything I do.
And then what's going to happen to that information? Who has access to it, with or without a warrant?
But then they promise you, the law's written to where they can't do that. When has government not intruded and went overboard on all that kind of stuff?
Exactly. You've said in this mailer, has this been sent out, by the way?
The one on the bottom there, yes, has been, yes.
So this one is still to
my
come?
door-to-door deal.
Okay. But you say if elected, you will personally sponsor legislation to repeal the Cindy Rowe bill, referring to Senate Bill 574, that talks about medical records and prevent the government from forcing the collection of our medical records before it's too late. How is this message being received in your district?
I don't think people really understand the whole application of the whole thing and the end of it and what the end result could be. It might not be the end result now, but it could be. And I've tried to explain to people about that and how that this is just a foot in the door for the government to continue. Right now, they're trying to implement this. And if you'll read in there on my flyer, it says that they even have provisions in there where they can fine those people who don't put the records on the database. In other words, the psychologists or doctors who don't want to put this information on their people, because if I say I don't want it, they say, well, there's an opt-out deal. But most people don't know, and they have to put it on the database anyway.
Yeah,
they're legislated to do it.
That's the thing, is an opt-out, not an opt-in.
That's it.
And that means it's automatically going to default to you're going to be on record.
Yeah, like right now, the private sector already had a system in place that if they wanted to transfer your records, they come to you and ask you, and you say, yes, you can give it to them. It's already working on the private sector. But anytime government starts to put their hand on it, it's not going to just stay small. It's going to grow into other areas, and they're going to take more of your personal history and your personal records, and then they use it against you just like they do everybody else right now, like they have been doing with Trump. I'll just say that. I think that's what they're doing. They're weaponizing the whole judicial system against him.
Well, yeah, I think that's pretty clear. More and more obvious as time passes that this lawfare that's happening, weaponizing the judicial system, and I think it's only going to help Trump. Honestly, I think that as they persist in this plan, more people are saying, "Wow, they are actually using the FBI, using judges and justices, influencing
lawfare.
What am I trying to think of? Juries, in every way to try to strangle the American people and have a stronghold in this nation." So it is very concerning. But coming here locally at the state level, we start seeing hints and glimpses of that as well. Talk about outside influence. In the last election, you mentioned this on this as well, this mailer. You mentioned in the last election, the incumbent spent an eye-popping $107,000, much of this coming from lobbyist employers, and powerful politicians. And we saw the influence of dark money in the last election. Was this during the election you ran in? Is that what you're
2 years
referring
ago?
To? Right.
Mm-hmm. Plus, a lot of dark money was out there too. I heard they spent about $46,000 over and above the rest of it in mailers and stuff, But I'm not against people. I'm not against the incumbent. I'm just against the record and the way that people vote. For instance, a lot of her, it even says it there, I think, that most of her money doesn't come from constituents. It comes from lobbyist groups.
Right.
It's sad in America today that the way that people win elections is all about money. And Scripture is pretty clear about that you can't serve two masters. So if money is winning it, that means that they're serving that master. To me, it's plain to see, night and day, what's really happening. Satan's running that whole thing on money because of that. You've
emphasized on this mailer, and I've heard you say multiple times, said it on the radio show, that you'll take no lobbyist money, no special interest money. Talk to me about I'm sure you just said it essentially, but flesh that out a little bit more. Why are you taking that firm stand to accept no lobbyist money?
I don't work for them. I don't work for the people that will come and say, hey, I'm from a pharmaceutical company and I want to support your campaign. And by the way, you want to come to a dinner or do this, which I know it happens because I've researched it. I see where people spend their money and they go to these big banquets for legislators all over the country. They even go to other countries and do stuff. And on the backs of these lobbyists that promote them. Why? Well, let's just say they smooch you enough that you'll vote for some of their legislation. Doesn't matter whether it's Republican legislation or not.
Yeah.
If it breaks my Constitution and my GOP platform, just don't do it. Well, when you're bought, you're willing to compromise. That's why I won't take it, because I'm not going to compromise. And I just want to state this because you and I talked about this a second ago off the air. What was I going to get to? Dang, I hate when I lose my train of thought.
You're good.
But I'm not running for re-election.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm running for we the people, and I'm going to do my job, what I promised to do. And if I don't get reelected, I don't care. That's not my job, is to be reelected. My job is to be a real conservative Republican and do what the Constitution says and my Republican Party platform.
Yeah.
That's my job.
Well, I think it starts in the campaign. In the very first campaign, the campaign that you're in, is running to be elected in the first place and refusing to compromise along the way. Because as soon as you compromise to get elected, well, then it's broken. You're broken. There's a crack. And now, if you're willing to compromise to get elected, you will compromise to stay elected.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're seeing now. And that's what I saw, that you had a lot of good people that were refusing to make a hard vote because of the way it would be perceived. And, I saw people, good people, conservatives, they said out of their mouths, if I do this, I'm going to have an opponent. So they refused to do it.
So?
I mean, so what?
So what?
That is the cancer. I think that is corruption in the Capitol, is the pursuit of power, and then the compromise to keep power, and that perpetuates this corruption, keeps the wrong people in way too long, and. I think that what you're doing in this stance to refuse lobbyist money, refuse to compromise, stand on truth. If you're elected, you're elected. If you're not, you're not. But you can walk away, sleep at night with clean hands. And then if you are elected, you can maintain course, and people then can trust you. I was asked this question: how can we know that you won't get elected and be corrupted? And I said, you can't. You don't know. Anybody can be corrupted.
We're flawed individuals.
Right. I could go up there with great intentions and things change overnight. And everybody makes mistakes. There's votes I made while I was in the Senate that I regret. I made some mistakes. And thankfully I learned from them, shifted, got realigned, had good people around me. But you can't guarantee you won't be corrupted. But the best guarantee that we could have, the best security I think as voters we could have, is to say, what are you doing right now in your election, in your campaign? Who are you talking to? How are you talking to them? What kind of money are you taking? What's funding your campaign? What consultant is behind you? All these factor in. They actually do. And then once you're elected, I think you'll either continue that trend. You're just going to continue the trend, whatever that trend was. Whatever trend it was that got you in there, you'll continue it once you're in office. And, man, you hit it on the head. It's like if you're running to be elected or running to be reelected, you're not really running based on truth and principle. And so I support that. I asked you before about who's your consultant, and you have somebody helping you kind of behind the scenes. But what I do know is that you don't have a big money consultant coming in that's just out to have another feather in their cap. And that's what I'm seeing with consultants. And my problem with them is it's really not about advancing what's best for the state. It's about increasing their portfolio. And
if I can touch on something.
Oh, please do. You get me on a soapbox, you got to interrupt me.
No, that's all good. I love hearing what you have to say. But the word compromise.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that word.
I do too.
I don't like it because I think people misinterpret it. In other words, well, you're not willing to listen. That's different. Compromising is something that goes against what your moral compass is. And I won't do that. I don't want to do that. My fear, and this is one of the things with my relationship with God, is my fear is that I will compromise. And that's what's keeping me straight, is no, I won't compromise. Can I listen to people that have more information about certain bills or things that are going on? She was, April was telling me some stuff the other day, or this morning when we were on the way up. Gave me some great insight on an issue that I didn't really know about that much. But I'm like, that sounds logical. That's what counsel's for.
Yeah.
But I don't have to compromise certain standards. What is their standards and law for? It's to be obeyed and followed. That's the problem, is they create laws or standards and nobody does what it says.
Yeah. Well, I would love to see state income tax completely eradicated,
Yes,
right?
sir.
But Speaker of the House proposed a 0.25% decrease in state income tax. I could do that. On that path, they're not going to eliminate it overnight. And so that's an area where I could compromise, saying, okay, that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's not a sin.
Right?
So you can compromise on
When
that.
it came to abortion, I did not like and I opposed pro-life legislation because it was saying we're going to save some but not all. And I said, no, we're talking about life.
Period.
Right? We're not just talking about taxes. That's a big issue, but we're talking about life. We can't say with babies and life in the womb, I'm sorry, we just can't save you. I couldn't go to sleep at night knowing that I'd voted for legislation that saved some but not all. And so I voted against it, say, no, we could save all if we wanted to. We legalized marijuana against the federal law. We could oppose abortion here in the state and oppose federal law. We could do that. We're just not doing it.
10th Amendment.
So compromise, when you talk about that, areas of compromise when it comes to taxation, hey, I can adjust along the way, but there's other areas, there's a no-go for me. And I think that's what you're saying as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Some things you don't compromise on.
Yeah.
There are certain things in my GOP platform that I just won't compromise on. I want to do those things. Will I compromise on the income tax thing, for instance? I want to eliminate it all too. I think it's very invasive. I don't like it at all. I've already said that.
Yeah.
But if they come in and say, well, we want to cut it in half. Okay, let's do it today. Right now. Let's get it done.
Right. Let's
get some relief to some people because it's affecting everybody out there. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah. We're feeling it.
It's big.
Matt, we could continue on. I love talking with you because we're on the same page.
Oh,
but
yeah.
People can find out more at matthuggans.com. That's MattHuggans.com. Find out more about him and his campaign and give to it because he's not getting money from lobbyists, special interest groups. So he could use your financial support to get more of these mailers out to go and help him get to the door and get to the finish line. So June 18th is the primary. It's coming up pretty soon. How do you feel about the race overall, Matt?
It's stressful.
Yeah.
I love the people. The people I'm talking to, it's real positive as far as they feel everything the way I feel about things. They have a conservative mindset. They're tired of government intrusion and overreach and all the things that they're doing. They're ready for some relief. Most of the people that I have come in contact with are Christians, so they definitely want to absolutely get rid of abortion, period, and quit playing around with it. And quit legislating it is what they're doing.
Right.
Let's just do it. Let's get it over.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice to just have a representative that believed those things and you could just focus on your business, go hunting, go to church? You know, I mean, you could just live your life and you know that you had a representative up there doing what needed to be done. I mean, that would be nice, right?
Yeah, it'd be absolutely wonderful. That's what I was doing before this.
Right.
I was doing those nice, easy things where, and in the mornings I used to show up at work, and then after work I would go visit my friends or people and pray with people and do what I love doing that. I love trying to be a Barnabas, an encourager. And that's what I try to do as much as I can is to encourage people to live for Jesus even better. So,
Well, and the point I want to make to the people is that's what you're offering. You're offering them the opportunity to have a representative who goes up and represents the Constitution, represents conservative values, so they could just live their life.
Yes.
That's the beauty of the republic, right?
Yes.
And so
supposed to be that way. It, like Benjamin Franklin said, we gave you a republic if you can keep it.
That's right.
So.
Well, this is how you keep it, is you have to fight for it. And so
Absolutely.
I appreciate you jumping in the fight.
Yes, sir.
And again, you guys can check out more at matthuggans.com. And I appreciate you, Matt, today.
Thank you, Jake.
You bet.
You're a beautiful man. I don't care what anybody says.
That's right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to the Jake for the State podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It gets the word out and helps people understand more about the state, those that are running to help preserve it. So very important work. I appreciate your support out there as well. But until next time, we'll see you.